Hey guys, and welcome to Mango Tea.
Mango tea. Made in China, bitch.
If you're new here, my name is Steven Mangoe. I'm a drama channel. I expose YouTubers. We talk about the beauty community. So if you want to stay up to date on all things YouTube drama, go down below, click on that subscribe button as well as that little bell icon. That's going to notify you when I make a new video so you don't miss any of the latest tea on YouTube. This is my husband, Jeff. Jeff is an attorney, and Jeff is going to be telling you guys all about the legalities with this whole Tanacon situation. Now, I'm sure you guys also, if you're watching this video, know about all the drama and all the tea about Tanacon. I'm not going to go into all of that. You guys can head on over to Shane Dawson's channel, and there's also a number of other videos that have already made about Tanacon. But what you may not know was that I actually purchased a ticket to Tanacon. I was going to both VidCon and Tanacon in the same weekend, and I paid for the $77 VIP featured creator badge, and I was really excited to go. I really thought it was a really cool way for Tana to be able to have an event that is supportive of creators and was going to be all inclusive, and I was really excited about going. And before I get into the legal analysis, I just wanted to say that it was a big riot. I didn't actually go in the line or anything like that. I'm not making a whole video about this, guys, so just really quickly, just to tell you guys about my experience with Tanacon. There was no parking, guys, within like 2 miles. I could not even find a place to park the car because all the lots, the whole hotel, everything was completely full. And I did see the line. There were thousands of people there. So I know a lot of other channels are talking about this. A lot of people weren't there. A lot of people don't know other than what's being reported on the internet. So through this video, I'll give you guys a little bit of my experience just being there for Tanacon, but I really wanted to take the opportunity to talk to Jeff because Jeff has been there watching these different videos about Tanacon, about the drama from what I've told him, and I really wanted to pick Jeff's brain so you guys can learn about your legal options if you were in fact someone who went to Tanacon, who purchased a ticket, or is wondering what's actually going to happen. Is Tana going to get sued? Is Good Times? What's going on with that? So I'll stop blabbering and I'll let Jeff talk, and we're going to go into some of your hot burning questions about Tanacon. So for my very first question for Jeff is, how can someone go about getting a refund for their Tanacon ticket?
Well, I wanted to have this question up front so that you get some valuable information right out of the gate. If you purchased a ticket to Tanacon and you want a refund, or you were one of those people that were yelling refund, refund outside in the hot burning sun, here's the easiest way to deal with it. No muss, no fuss. 90% of you, hopefully, paid for that ticket with a credit card. If it was American Express or your parents bought it through American Express, that's the most ideal situation. But even if you bought it through Visa or a family member brought it through Visa, that's also fine. Call up American Express. I'm going to do this tomorrow. Call up American Express. Just tell them you purchased a ticket to Tanacon and the event got canceled, and you are asking American Express to credit your account the $77 because the event was never held. They will investigate, and when it's American Express, 95% of the time, they will just refund you the money, and they will deal with whoever it is got the money or charged to that expense the item on the card. Visa's a little bit more difficult, but it's essentially the same process.
Now, another way that I'm thinking a lot of people are speculating online and stuff is this idea about starting a class action lawsuit against Good Times Entertainment, which was the production company behind this event, or a class action lawsuit against Tana. Which person could they go after? Is Tana liable because she was the one who hired the production company? Is a class action lawsuit a viable option in this sort of case? What do you think about that whole idea?
A lot of times in your videos, whenever I give legal advice, I always seem to throw cold water on it, like how is they're going to get their money back against Mr. Cuckian, and I had to say, well, it's hard to sue someone in a foreign country. Class actions are very difficult to certify. What you have to do is get several lead plaintiffs, find a class action lawyer, then go to court and get certified as a class. And the class representatives have to have a commonality of interest, each person paid $77, blah, blah, blah. There aren't enough people, even though 5,000 sounds like a lot. Between the $77 and the 5,000 people, it really isn't probably worth it for a lawyer to take a class action lawsuit in this situation. Maybe someone will, maybe someone that's really hungry, but usually it's more helpful if it's, every person that bought a Toyota between 1999 and 2006. So that's millions of people, and the item might be a couple $100 or a few $1,000s. Then it's worth it. So I don't think class action is the way to go, but someone might do it.
Now, in Shane's video, Michael was claiming that he would be filing possibly for bankruptcy. He may lose his home and all of this sort of situation. If he did, in fact, file bankruptcy, then is that a way to opt out for him from having to refund people, because then any of his liabilities financially are going to be wiped out? Would then everyone who bought a Tanacon ticket be screwed because he can say, hey, filed for bankruptcy, now I don't owe any of these people their money back?
Well, first of all, this is why I recommend going through American Express or Visa or MasterCard to get your money back. That's the easiest way. I don't know enough about his personal financial situation, but if he declares bankruptcy, all that does is he personally has to go to the bankruptcy court, and he has to show that he's not trying to perpetuate a fraud on the debtors, and he has to show that he's not favoring one debtor over another, or one creditor over another. And there's some strict rules in bankruptcy court. If Good Times is incorporated or a limited liability company, then his filing bankruptcy will have no effect on Good Times, unless they can show that Good Times is a DBA, a sole proprietorship, it's really just him, or it's incorporated and he hasn't had the required directors meetings, minutes of directors meetings. There's a whole technical series of things one has to do to maintain a corporation. Most people do a corporation so that anything like this happens, they don't have to personally declare bankruptcy or be financially ruined. I suspect that he incorporated Good Times, or it's some form of a business organization where his declaring bankruptcy would do him absolutely no good.
Now, I would think that when you have any sort of event or conference or convention or anything like that, if they were going to say have it at the Marriott, they would then have to prove to the Marriott that they have insurance policy, so that if anything happens to anyone physically, if this sort of thing happens and no one's getting refunds or any sort of thing, they have an insurance policy for the event. Why is there no insurance policy being brought up about this?
Well, because the insurance policy usually covers liability and damage to the venue, or if that you saw that girl being
transported out
on a stretcher, it would apply for that, but it doesn't really apply to a failed event that has to be canceled because someone wasn't organized enough. So there really isn't insurance. I'm sure you could get insurance for that, but Marriott really just worries about getting sued. That's what its main concern. It doesn't care whether people were waiting out in the sun, unless someone's injured as a result of that, or that people didn't get into an event. That's not their department or their field.
So now, given what we know about the situation from what we've seen on YouTube and from the news reports and everything like that, who do you think is more or less liable for this situation? Is it Tana? Is it Michael? I know people are kind of picking sides. Oh, it's Tana's fault. It's this guy's fault. Whatever. And people have all these mixed ideas. But really, if there was going to be a lawsuit or anything was going to happen, who's liable, who's at fault, and who are they going to go after, Tana or Good Times?
Well, this is just my legal analysis, right? That's what you're asking for.
Right.
So I don't know or care about either of the participants. As you know, I never even heard of Tana before 72 hours ago. It probably isn't her. It's sort of like if Taylor Swift has a concert and something happens with the concert promoter is the one that's going to be on the hook, not her. So if you're going to bring a lawsuit, which probably wouldn't be worth it for $77, you'd probably sue the concert promoter or the organization that ran it. The one that sold the tickets. She's probably not selling tickets out of the back of her vehicle. So it seems like she would not be the person who would be the appropriate target of a lawsuit.
Now, what about all of this video footage that either Tana's team has or Good Times has? Is this video that they have going to be used in some form of evidence if and when a class action gets brought up, or if Michael wants to try to defend himself as the owner of Good Times? Is any of this footage going to be used against Tana or against Michael?
Each of them could hire lawyers and they could spend 2 years suing each other and making various claims, and this one shows this video, that one shows that video, and at the end of the day it really doesn't matter too much if the organization as the concert promoter is the one that signs the contracts and makes the deals and sells the tickets. Then whether or not, going back to our analogy, Taylor Swift asked if there was adequate water or security is probably not going to make a difference.
Does Michael have a claim against the Marriott hotel like he's claiming because of the venue size or capacity, or was told one way or another? Because it did look like in Shane's video, he signed something saying that the estimated or actual capacity was going to be at 1,000. Does he really have any claim against Marriott when there's also proof that he oversold those VIP tickets by 5,000 or 4,000 extra than should have even been sold in the first place? Is he going to have any claim against the Marriott? What was the Marriott's fault? They were just taking the money and saying, here's our meeting room space. They weren't the ones hiring ticketing staff or any of that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, well, I think his claim will be that the Marriott told him that the space would hold 5,000 people. Can he make a claim against them?
Sure.
As I've discussed this before, anyone can make a claim. I can make a claim against you for wearing that blue shirt.
Right.
But is the claim going to go anywhere? No. And the claim against Marriott will go nowhere. So in other words, your story is that we told you a room that holds 1,000 people and says capacity 1,042 was going to hold 5,000, and you signed this agreement here that says 1,000 people.
Right, you're finished. That's it.
Bye-bye. Thank you for playing our game.
Just a waste.
Yeah.
I was looking on Twitter, and Tana had a post where she claimed that she would then go to any of these people who spent to travel. Like, I came from Australia, I spent $10,000 and all this sort of stuff. And then Tana said, oh yes, I will refund you guys out of pocket for your travel expenses. Can that be something that someone then sues Tana for and say, on Twitter you said that you will reimburse travel expenses. I spent $8,000. I can make a claim against Tana now because Tana made a public statement saying she's going to refund people. And I didn't get a refund, for example, on the $4,000 to travel. Could someone then go and try to sue Tana personally, maybe even in small claims court, to try to get reimbursed just by that tweet that she sent out?
Again, anyone can sue anyone.
Is it viable?
Right. That's an unknown question, and believe me, I'm not defending her. I couldn't pick her out of a lineup of 2 until a week ago, so I really don't have no reason to favor her. All I'm saying is that you'd have to document and demonstrate that you spent X number of dollars. You can't just pull it out of your rear end.
Someone has to show their airplane and their hotel and all of that.
Right, and that there wasn't any other reason for them to be coming here to bootstrap it onto a business trip or something like that. I don't know if she said she'd pay out of her own pocket or she would make sure it was repaid. Maybe these videos that she made with Mr. Dawson are going to get enough views that they're going to generate income in order to refund everyone back their money. But call American Express or Visa.
After seeing Shane's video and hearing Tana's side and hearing Michael's side, do you think that there was an actual scam aspect involved where people were specifically being defrauded, like that clip of them saying, oh, we're selling an extra 4,000 or 5,000 tickets extra? Do you think that there was a certain aspect of fraud that people can bring up and say, I was defrauded because Tana's like, you can just show up, and then all these people show up, and not that that was like the fraudulent aspect of it, but more or less that they were selling all these tickets that they knew they couldn't accommodate, and now people aren't getting their refund. It's been 2 weeks since the event, and there's all this uncertainty. Do you think that there's an actual fraud thing going on?
I don't know, and maybe we'll never know. It depends where the source of the information that 5,200 VIP tickets were sold but only 200 free ones were given out. Here's what fraud means. That you make a promise, that you know the promise is untrue, that other people rely on that promise, and that the person's damaged or hurt. So it sounds like you got several of them there, but the key one is, did you make that promise knowing it to be false? So Ms. Mongeau, or however you pronounce it, she's going to say, listen, I wanted them all to be free. They told me they were all going to be free. It turns out 200 or 300 of them were free. I had no idea about that. I relied on the people that know better, the production company. And so I think you really have a hard time showing that she engaged in some fraud. And you can take snippets out of videos that make people look bad, like her saying, well, you want people to wait outside because it builds buzz. That's not too helpful, but everyone's going to pluck out a certain quote to make the other side look bad. Really hard to know what the answer to the question is. If the guy sold the 5,200, pocketed it, sold it to this Veeps, that's a weird thing also, the Veeps thing.
How could Veeps, which is the ticketing company that had like the VIP packages and the sales of the tickets and everything like that. I guess it's a spoiler alert if you didn't see Shane's video, but the idea is that Veeps had a contract with Michael, that Michael would then be responsible for providing the refunds financially out of his own pocket. But why would Veeps then be holding on to $325,000 as the ticketing company? On the website, it says they get between 5 or 10% with the processing fees and all of that. And then they were also saying that this company was only started in the last couple months, maybe within the last 6 months. Maybe Tanacon was their big first event.
Well,
does Michael have maybe ownership of this Veeps? Why wouldn't Veeps just click the refund button and give everyone that $300,000? Why would they be entitled to that?
Well, that something's not right is the answer. This is what we learned from Mr. Dawson's video. We don't know this of our own. This is just where we got it. That Veeps says if your event is canceled, you have to sign something, production company, which says you have to give the money back. We're not responsible for that. Veeps is not responsible. So my question is, where does that $325,000 go? Veeps can't keep it. That's called unjust enrichment, which is a concept in the law, which is shorthand. You got something you didn't deserve to get. So it's very odd that they would have that kind of agreement. And it's odd that he would sign that kind of agreement, because now it says CEO and his signature, which to me means that Good Times is a corporation. But sometimes these contracts have a personal guarantee clause, which means the person signing it, whether they're the CEO of a corporation or not, is personally liable for that money. Which is why maybe he's making this claim that he's going to have to file bankruptcy and that he'll be destitute. But I just don't get why Veeps, what happens to that $325,000? They can't keep it.
But why would he even have hired Veeps in the beginning when Veeps was his brand new company of only a couple of months? Why would he then go to that company to do the ticketing when there's a million other ticketing sources? Why would they have gone and used Veeps, for example, or something that's not really known or established? Why would they then be holding the tickets? Why would they be having the $300,000? There's just a lot that we or others have to look into with what is this Veeps company.
Well, I understand why they're holding the $325,000, but they should hold the $325,000 and give it to Good Times once the event concludes. There was no event; It was canceled. At which point, I don't understand why there's this agreement that he has to pay it back. That implies that Veeps gets to keep the $325,000, which cannot be. Cannot be.
So could Michael then go and sue Veeps if this was the case? Maybe they have an agreement that maybe he can somehow show and say there's no reason why this company, they were only like the ticket processing, they have anything to do with the event. So why wouldn't he then maybe, instead of trying to sue the Marriott, sue security, sue all these other sources, why not sue the Veeps and get your money from the ticketing source?
Right, we don't know. I mean, I would need to see the contract, but Veeps will say, well, you signed this saying you'd be responsible and not us. But even if that's true, they can't keep profits, $325,000 that they didn't earn. What they earned was 5% on the sale of every ticket. Okay, maybe they keep the 5% of every ticket they sold, because they sold the ticket, whether the event happened or not. But the other 95% needs to go somewhere, and that somewhere is back in the pockets of the people like you that paid the $77. I'm telling you, call American Express or Visa and get your money back that way. Let them handle this.
What if, in terms of, like, say that girl that was dehydrated, or people have these third-degree burns, they go to the hospital, they get prescribed ointments or medication. Will those people then be able to go after Tana or Good Times in order to get reimbursed or to get some type of pain and suffering or some type of settlement for injuries sustained on the premise of their event?
Well, if there's third-degree burns, which I don't think there were, then that's a different situation, because if there's third-degree burns, they need to be admitted to Grossman Burn Center, and they have months of rehabilitation and plastic surgery.
What if it's just they're dehydrated,
Well,
carried off?
If they have any medical expenses, then they would make a claim with the company that wrote the policy of insurance, which covers the event, which the Marriott is going to make sure, I would think, exists before they unlock the doors to let them in. And so that's how someone would get compensation for that. Again, I don't think you're going to be too successful suing Tana, because she's essentially it. Yes, her name is on it. Again, the Taylor Swift concert.
You get the analogy. Do you think that maybe Tana or Shane or any of these people spoke up too soon, whether with this video thing, whether Michael giving a statement in case there's a class action, in case something goes on? Did they speak out too soon? Should Tana have stayed quiet? Should Michael have not released footage or said anything? Or even in terms of Shane, like saying, oh, I'll make sure even if it's out of my own pocket to reimburse people. Should they have kept their mouth a little bit more shut on this to not open themselves up to the liability of hundreds of thousands of dollars for this event?
Well, I don't think Shane saying that is an enforceable contract. So I think suing him for this, it goes nowhere. I generally counsel people not to say anything until they have to, because, for example, this was weird. Tana says that Michael stopped everything 6 months ago to work solely on this Tanacon.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, Tana didn't get the idea to do Tanacon until 2 months ago. So that's a very odd sort of, maybe it's a misstatement, someone misspoke, maybe she meant X when she should have said Y. But there's a glaring example of a contradiction, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, speaking as a lawyer, I only want my client to answer questions when they've been adequately prepared and not on the fly on a video or a FaceTime call.
Now, from my experience when I was there, like I was telling you guys, there were a lot of disorganization. Again, I'm not going to go into everything about Tanacon. I didn't go inside. I should have vlogged. I should have been outside. I was going to VidCon instead that day, just because I knew there was no way I was going to get inside Tanacon after everything. But it was very unorganized. There were like thousands of people. Maybe it was a bit of an exaggeration, but even me being there, there were a lot of people. There was a lot of things going on. And it didn't look like that line was going anywhere, so I didn't wait in line. I was also like, am I going to stand outside in the sun for 5 hours for a chance to get in? I thought maybe the next day, less people would need to register for the badge, so I can go for one day on Saturday instead of going for both days. But I just think that there were a lot of people overall that were, they flew, they were disappointed. Like, this was put on so quickly that it should have been done in a year. It should have been done in 9 months or something like that. So I just think that, it's just upsetting to me that A, people aren't getting refunds, and B, this was not even just about Tana. Like, I love Tana. It's not about Tana necessarily, but it was more the idea that, oh, this could be something better than like a corporate conglomerate thing like VidCon. Like, all these people can go to Tanacon, can meet their favorite creators, be what VidCon should have been, but can't be because it's this big corporate event. Tana wanted to have it be like this all-inclusive thing, and I just think that with her message, if she just took a step back, if Tana just looked and said, okay, if this is really my purpose, because it wasn't a money-making thing, and I believe she wanted there to be free tickets, and she had this big lofty idea that just wasn't executed properly. But maybe if Tana thought, like, if this message is so important for me to need to want to have this sort of happy-go-lucky friendly event with all your best creators and have panels and meetups and all this stuff, that, you know, you can't rush that. You can't just go and open up the Marriott hotel room and just hope that, you know, you can square away all this stuff. There's safety things. There was a lot that went wrong, but I'm sure, you know, they're lucky that there wasn't any violent outbreak, anything any worse, and people were sunburned, but things could have went a lot worse with this whole Tanacon thing. But, you know, I really wanted to make this video. I know others have made Tanacon videos, but no one's really done like a legal analysis like this. So I really wanted to bring Jeff on my channel, and I want to make him available to you guys. If you have any questions about Tanacon or this situation, of course, he's not able to represent anyone. We're not forming a class action lawsuit or something like that. That's not the whole idea of this. But if you just have a general question, leave it down in the comment section down below. Maybe there's something that, you know, we missed, you know, addressing in this video, so let us know if you have any questions about that. Again, if you didn't subscribe, go down below, click that subscribe button, that little bell icon. If you want to follow me on social media, it's at Steven Mangoe on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me live on YouNow at younow.com/StevenMangoe. I try to host weekly live streams where you guys can interact with me, ask your questions, we spill the tea on YouNow. So again, that's younow.com/StevenMangoe. I'm going to be working on posting daily videos for you guys, so make sure to stay tuned, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching.